We're ready for some picks and bans to be revealed. Back on 9.3, we will remind our viewers, because actually, there's never a more relevant series than today, Valdez, to mention this point. And yes, I extended my point so the VOD viewers would get there. Ash's global ban, and Sungyun was on a huge Ash kick recently. Nuclear has played it as well, and the arrow that drained onto aiming was a big reason that DWG Gaming were able to take down the Afrika Freaks last week. Ash global banned, the support items, of course, those hot fixes are in, but the Ash global ban probably affects these two teams more than any other team in the league.
Certainly does feel that way. We were talking about how Sungyun plays so much of it. 5-1 on the Ash. Is overall a very highly mechanically skilled AD carry, but will be on something that he's not as comfortable on. And already, two of the biggest AD carries are banned out here in the first round.
Very interesting to see a blue side Urgot ban when, to me, Hanwha Life will have higher priority on Urgot than DWG Gaming. That's been Tal's go-to, the most impressive pick, and it's squared up his laning phase. For DWG, my question is, do you have to ban Yasuo? Because I think Hanwha Life will definitely first pick it, and I'm also going to actually comment on a ban from Hanwha Life. I'm a big fan of the Galio ban, because looking at Barrel's solo queue, he's played basically every support game as Galio recently. 17 games of Galio, 13-4.
Wow.
Already a big pick recently, but that's what they've been favoring, so I do love the ban from Hanwha Life, because otherwise, why Barrel today is a fair question.
And I love this hover from Tal. May not mean much to you if you don't know his name.
Explain it to us, Valdez.
But his name originally in Korean is Tuhal, which means I'm gonna play Trundle. And given a little bit of fan service, that's one of the other things about Hanwha Life is that, and Tal, is that all of them seem so much more confident, especially Tal, given a bunch of fan service in person and even in the pick and ban.
Because you know what happens when you do fan service when you're losing? People are angry at you. Like, why are you doing fan service? Get better at the game, son.
Be serious.
So now that you're actually winning, you're able to have some personality. Fly, for example, is probably the best trash talker next to Sungyun we have, but very hard to trash talk when Genji are in the predicament they are. We get the jungle matchup straight away. Boom shakalaka. It's going to be Olaf versus Lee Sin. Matchup that Olaf likes in the early game, but honestly, like a lot of these Lee Sin matchups, first Q is usually very relevant when it comes to the Q from Lee Sin or Olaf. What about first round here, though? We already mentioned that priority could be really high on some very specific picks in this series, and we wanted Barrel's Alistair. We're going to get it.
Well, he doesn't have his new Galio from solo queue, so from what we know, he's only got that one other pick, so it does make sense that he is hopping onto the Alistair. But what is it going to be for the side of Hanwha Life here?
Now, I don't know how you are at maths, but to me, Lee Sin plus Alistair equals Yasuo. So the Yasuo that we talked about as the first pick is still open. It's a big one for Tempt and Hanwha Life, but obviously not quite the same synergy with the picks. Are they going to go for a first-round Yasuo here? Because again, since Friday last week, Yasuo has been basically perma-pick banned.
It's a big one, and I'm sure Hanwha Life have that on their minds, and that means they have to pick stuff that will be good into the Yasuo, or at least can survive the Yasuo. They pick up the Tahm Kench, which is also another very often picked pick here in LCK.
All right, DWG Gaming. You either get Yasuo now, or someone's banning Yasuo in the second round. See what their read is on this particular situation. They're going to ignore the elephant in the room of the Yasuo this time. Go for the Kai'Sa, which is back in priority.
And then double ban AD carry,
exactly.
So that they can deny so many of them, because the Ashe global ban, the two AD carry bans, including Vlad, that could be picked down into the bottom lane. So definitely something to keep in mind.
Against some teams, that feels like a big boon, but remember that Sungyun is a part of the most experienced duo lane we have, and a player who has a very big champion pool, can play the non-marksman really well as well. So not going to be a huge denial, but will, of course, hurt the composition here. The Sivir ban is the one they go for, and that's because you look at the comp and you're like, Olaf could use some movement speed. Yeah, definitely some synergies there. So liking the Sivir ban, and no need to double ban, specifically against Sungyun. Hanwha Life, they ban away Jace. It's time for those Noggery bans we always talk about. Only 2 so far for Hanwha Life.
Apparently it's been 1,004 days since Tempt and Key's debut in the LCK. So those two guys have been around for quite a while. That one fan celebrating that fact.
They came in at the same time. Tempt was not the original starting mid laner for ESC ever. That was, of course, Athena that went over to the LPI. I believe he started on EDG and then went around a couple of different squads. Now, Tempt replaced him, and when they finally made the LCK in summer of 2016, already 1,000 days since that tournament kicked off, so congratulations on that milestone. LeBlanc going to be the blind pick for DAMWON Gaming, and that means Showmaker LeBlanc versus Tempt Syndra. This is a fun one, as Tempt is a Syndra player of note.
That he is. It's not something you see very often, but was one of those blind picks and something that can kind of play into everything. And also, as you mentioned, go straight into Tempt's wheelhouse. So fun to see it coming back here, as a lot of those mid champions were taken away with all the recent nerfs and stuff. And well, Yorick's back. He's been back for a bit now here in the LCK.
Fiora is open, and of course is a great pick into Yorick. And we saw Noguri on Aatrox recently. Of course, the Aatrox nerfs are something that means it is much more of a sometimes champion. But we want Noguri's Fiora, damn it!
Oh yeah, come on!
Jax will be pretty hype as well. Which one will he prefer? I feel like it's one of those two to me.
It's Fiora. Come on.
Yeah!
Lock it in. Yes!
That's what the one we wanted. They don't get the huge cheer from the crowd, but when you get a player as talented as Noguri, exactly the champion you want to see, this is one that can go very Fiora-sided if she gets a lead. Kind of a Fiora staple for sure, and I think at 3 items, she wins basically the Yorick lane 100% of the time. Spirit Shojin gets thrown in there and things get good, but just starting off with a Ravenous Hydra is the way we expect. So, DAMWON Gaming, pick power through part of their draft, and then a Fiora means 4-1. Going to be the big thing here, and also a lot of synergies for Nuclear to swoop in on the Kai'Sa late and get some assassinations.
Very true. This also means, with the Yorick last pick, that Victor will be going into the bottom lane with that Tahm Kench, so no AD carry on the side of Hanwha Life. It's only happened a couple of times so far for Songyun to jump onto non-AD carries, the awesome dudes, if you will. One time on Vlad, he did get a win, and then one time on Victor, which he took a loss.
Cool draft here. A lot of evolving stories. It fell into place outside of the Yasuo. It's kind of conspicuous by its absence from both pick and ban. Maybe game 2 will be that one gets a reintroduction. So big picks on both sides. Tal with the blind Yorick when Fiora is open, and he gets his just desserts there. But Yorick is really strong in this lane, pre-Hydra and pre-Fiora getting a couple of levels, and Bono is on his staple. To me, he's a Viking right now, and he likes to be bold. If they play around lane priority, which they'll have in the Fiora lane early, and also in the mid lane, you like Syndra before LeBlanc has access to level 6. Given those two things together, there could be windows where you start getting going as Hanwha Life, and DAMWON Gaming can never actually get their items and champions to the level to fight back.
Definitely a lot of skill expression here on the side of DAMWON Gaming in their champions. We'll see if they can make it work to a victory here as we hop onto the Rift for game number 1 of Hanwha versus DAMWON Gaming. Here we do go back into it on this lovely Friday afternoon. Good to be back here casting some LCK, and this should be a fun one. This is what we have hyped up to be a pretty big match. Should go to 3 games. Wouldn't expect it to just be the 2-0, but we'll have to see how this first one goes off. Excited to see Tempt back on his Syndra. Haven't seen that in quite a bit.
And notice his choice of Keystone and Summoner. Ignite Syndra is pretty bold into LeBlanc, but this is kill or be killed. This is very much Hanwha Life. You can tell from the fact that they have a Victor bot lane trying to wave clear like we saw in 9.1 and 9.2, and not one of those newfangled crit carries. It fits into what we were saying. Get the Olaf started so he has an invading advantage, win the lanes that early games suit Hanwha Life, and then close it out before things like attack speed and crit become the separator in a team fight. A lot of snowball being invested by Hanwha Life, even down to runes and keystones, which is cool to see.
Yeah. And my most fun part of the new metas and the changing in the mid lane has just been the, a bunch of the nerfs, but also a bunch of the tanky champions moving out of the mid lane and opening up these matchups that we used to have, where there's so much skill involved, and you would just love to get the zoom in on the mid lane because it's Syndra versus LeBlanc. I mean, this could go either way, especially with how you mentioned Tempt going for Electrocute Ignite. He wants to try to outplay Showmaker in the mid lane, and that's what Showmaker's name means. So I love this new mid lane meta. Huge fan, and we'll love to see more of that mid lane.
Whenever I don't see a Lissandra or an Urgot, I'm feeling pretty good, Valdez. So I'm with you on that one. And then 9.4, I was able to watch some solo queue streams yesterday, SKT off on the Rift, and there was a lot of new champions with the new Conqueror that are being talked about, even in the jungle, a lot of Rek'Sai that might actually be the meta. Come next week as the Lee Sin matchup, pretty famous for the Rek'Sai there. So I think the wins have changed. They're not 9.1, 9.2. It feels like the preseason was delayed a couple of weeks, but now we're going to get a whole lot of change. And what does that mean for the fortunes of two teams that are very much around the middle of the pack, but are threatening to jump up the standings?
Should be some fun stuff. Already down on the bottom side. Victor doing his thing. Should be very safe here in the lane. We'll have to wait and see if Songyun can try to get a win on this Victor. As I mentioned before, is just sitting at 0-1 right now, but has been known for a bit to be one of the big carries on this team.
Well, he's next to his most reliable support. Key is 7-2 on Tahm Kench. 9 games, actually, one of the highest pick rates we have of any player on a single champion this season. Yeah. So kind of conspicuous that he's been able to pick up the Tahm Kench this much. And I think that's probably related to the fact that around him, for the first time in a few years, there's been a lot of champions you consider banning, because Tal has been performing in the top side. Bono's been double banned in jungle many times over the course of this season. Lee Sin and Olaf, the two champions of this game, are the big picks in his champion pool. So given that, there's been enough great plays from his allies, so there's been reasons to ban things other than Tahm. We're going to not talk about Tahm and zoom in on the Olaf.
Nuguri does get rid of that box, and now Bono on top of him. The flash does come in. Nice riposte to deny that one and just get away relatively easy, but did have to blow his flash.
That is one summoner down, and we're looking for Hanwha Life at this point in the game to be playing around strong lane performances and Bono to be the big difference between the two teams to start the snowball that we kind of feel like needs to happen for Hanwha Life to close this game. They want to win this game, or at least have the game in an unlosable position around 30 minutes into the game or earlier. So gets the first summoner with the first predator, no arguments with that. Returns to his jungle, and we see how they build around the fact that for now, Fiora going to be biding her time.
Excited to see if Punch can continue his win streak as well. By the way, he's currently 3-0. Of course, the last time they did play against a team, it was against Jinair, but still, you know, racking up those wins in a row.
And let's close that point, because what did he not get to play against Jinair was his Lee Sin. Punch Lee Sin is what we hyped when we saw him subbed in, and he had one of the cleanest Lee Sin games, and that's a really overused phrase, because clean Lee Sin, shoutouts to Rush, etc. He had one of the best Lee Sin games straight up that I've seen in a long time. He was unbelievable in that series against, I believe, the Afrika Freaks. So because of that, he's back on that pick now, and the moment he hits level 6, we could see some ultra clean Lee Sin play, and that's something fun to look forward to.
Another thing to mention, as our observer did just point out, Songyun, he does have that Frostmancy, but he's CSing a bit, as you'll notice. Just some of the minions going the way of Tahm Kench so far. He's kind of doing half and half, it looks like, right now.
It's not, it feels like half and half when you look at it now, but it's because he didn't start with the Frostmancy. He started with Doran's Ring and farmed. Got the 850 gold, and now the farming ends, and every CS that Relics does add is mid lane.
Oh, the chains land, and in comes Punch as easy as you'd like. Barely even saw him alive. And Tempt even blows his flash, but he's 100% dead for first blood.
And we didn't even have to counter level 6. Even second graders can look at this one and see very clearly that ahead of the clock, they're able to get a kill through the Lee Sin. He's got something to return to, like you mentioned, now that Flash is down. Nice moment for DWG Gaming.
Really, really nice stuff. You could see that Punch was waiting in the side brush on the control ward to see if the chains landed, and the second they did, Tempt just tried to go for the stun here onto the Lee Sin, but it went wide. And after that, 100% dead.
And if you don't have cleanse and you get hit by that tether, you're dead. Wow. That's the equation you learn there. It's from 100% health. It's topside solo kill.
Oh boy, he gets it. 1v1 Tal. Another guy we were hyping up coming into this one, able to solo kill Nuguri.
But doesn't this fit in there? We're getting a real seesaw here as they need to be winning these side lanes. They win one. The mid lane doesn't go their way. Bono invading with pressure. He's level 6.
Yeah, he's level 6. No smite there on Punch either. Bunch of damage going down. One more axe. And a couple of reckless swings may have done it, but he is able to get away and pick up that red buff.
Reckless swings, but a reckless play in the top side from what we could tell on the side of Noguri. You have to see how that starts in the mid lane. Every tether could be a kill. Every scout of the week could be a kill. This is the thick and fast action we were hoping for. Watching the top side here. Noguri wants to push in. Pretty standard Fiora stuff. The cage really, really gets you. So the problem that Fiora has is if you don't actually hit the Q and thus get the cooldown reduction, there's actually a really long cooldown on Q early game. Didn't have the flash, didn't have his life. That's what happens when you get the baby cage. People die.
And there it is. Looks like that was also a fan sign of Tal. So happy fans as he picks up a solo kill on one of these guys we were saying was a very, very talented top laner. Nuguri just not expecting that one and will get solo killed. So once again, DAMWON, Punch, and Barrel looking towards the mid lane. This time the chain's going to go wide, but the second one does land. Good response here by Hanwha as a team to come in and support their mid lane.
Isn't this so different to early in the season? Because now we have, if the Sky of the Week misses, you die. If it hits, you don't die, or maybe you get a trade kill compared to does Lissandra get the minions and the enemy champion to maximize that Q value?
Yeah. How well can they CS under
Does
turret?
Urgot press W to fully negate all damage? Well, times are changing around the Rift, but a 700 gold lead already means that Merc Treads is done for Showmaker and just the bang for your buck double Dark Seal on the side of Syndra.
Ooh, lands that one. The Scout of the Week. In goes the ult just to push them away, especially because he does have that blue buff, and nice little trade there by Tempt.
Something we should mention is that after having his flash blown early, Fiora has actually been pushing up and trading to the point of still have a 17 CS lead in the lane. So the kill actually only equalizes gold rather than opening up a big lead for the Yorick. It means that Noguri has largely been playing this lane relevantly. I'm surprised that AoE didn't hit.
That looks like it hit.
It did not,
Just
apparently.
gonna say.
That wasn't the last half second either, so I think that would have interrupted the back in that case.
Yeah.
But worth noting that Fiora is not as far behind as the solo kill kind of makes you feel in the matchup.
Yeah, it is true. I mean, that is Nuguri in a nutshell as well. I mean, he's just going to go as hard as possible and really test his opponent, see if he can get that kind of solo kill, and if not, he's going to get a bunch more CS. Punch coming in here onto the Ocean Drake, but he is spotted, and he will actually continue it as his bottom lane will help out.
You notice that Olaf is going to try to fight for this because Hanwha don't want to be giving up objectives early, but he's going to be late, it looks like.
Yeah, he's late. Laser almost gets it there, actually. Will they consider following up? Tongue Lash onto Punch, but it is a Lee Sin who does hop away. They'll look to at least trade onto the blue buff here, as it is a 4-on-4 in the bottom side. No TPs involved in this one.
Barrel.
Yeah. Oh, big knock-up. Huge one by Barrel. Gets 3 of them in the back line. They can't get any kills, but what a play there for Barrel to get in position and deny that blue buff.
And this is the push and pull when you have the earlier power spikes. You know how one life are feeling pressure. Like, crap, we couldn't get there for the Drake. Let's steal a blue buff. Let's do something proactive. Otherwise, we're going to be the architects of our own demise. Barrel with the flash only can reset blue, but he stops Hanwha Life from getting anything out of that play, and it means the rotation down is wasted as well.
That it is. Ocean Drake to the side of DWG Gaming, and that's going to make, especially, I mean, all these lanes are going to get a huge bonus from that one as this laning phase is extending for quite a bit in this one. No big pushing to either side. No plates have been taken on the map just yet.
What I'd like to see from the Tahm Kench, because he's definitely 20 to 25 CS ahead of what you'd expect for a Relic Shield support to have now. The first item completion, which is the big benefit you get, I really want to see a redemption now. Zeke's has been an item before. You could definitely consider, because of the burst, something like the reduction of damage going into some of the other support items, but I would love to see redemption if we're going for a Lehen-style build and have an extra AoE to help the lanes around the map scale. And speaking of scaling, Hanwha Life trying to find that proactive objective, Rift Herald should be theirs.
See that they were thinking about contesting that one, but it was really just Showmaker hopping forward to do a bit of scouting, put down a ward, see who else was there. And they end up having to give that one away, and this is with plates still available for 2 minutes, so you would expect, although sometimes the pro teams here in LCK don't always use the Rift Herald on time, you would expect them to get some of those plates somewhere on the map.
You notice about a 500 gold lead that the extra farming has allowed. We need to pick that one up, guys. Bono. No. We need to pick it up. We need to pick it up. It's going to time out.
Not like this.
Please pick it up. Observers, don't show anything else. Exactly. This is the full zoom we want.
Zoom in. Look at that eye. It's like one big monkey SI.
This is
It's gone, Papa. No.
I'm so sad. Oh, no. I was pulsating with it.
I know.
My eyes, they were pulsating just
okay.
like it. I was like, no. My day's ruined now.
That's
like,
a big one.
everything was going well today. I was in a good mood.
It was a good game. It was really even. They put so much into that play, and then Hanwha Life just say,
you know what?
You can have it.
Bono doesn't know, I bet.
They even get the zoom in on Bono.
Do you reckon he knows yet?
No chill, observers.
Do you reckon he knows yet? He might not know yet. It's when he thinks about popping his sweeper that he'll remember. It's like, wait, I shouldn't be able to pop my sweeper.
Yeah. Would almost expect him not to know. There's like a big hush around the crowd.
I know,
everybody
everyone
was like
is
murmuring, like, oh my god. Oh, what is this? Oh, who is this guy?
There's definitely a Scotty doesn't know, Bono doesn't know song running through my head right now. But really sad times for that one. That means no plates. That's 320 gold. Just up in flames right now.
Up in the air, yeah.
And Hanwha Life, that was one of their ways to actually push a lead that they need to grow. Remember, their win condition is to stay ahead of gold. They're behind in gold, Valdez, and their way to catch up is now gone.
Really not what you wanted. And that could also be a tilter once he realizes it, because his team are going to be like, hey, let's go for the push up in the top side. He's like, guys. Sorry about this one, but yeah.
And DWG are now doubling down. They're invading and contesting the enemy red. This should be the other way around. Remember, the shoe is supposed to be on Hanwha Life's foot when it comes to those aggressive players.
Yeah.
Showmaker poking around. Level 11's going to be hit soon. Red buff will be claimed by Bono.
Was a bit scary, but Lee Sim pretty good at securing those, but obviously not in position. Olaf as well pretty good at doing the burst damage right before the smite, so it's part of the reason why Bono has been able to secure a bunch of these buffs under pressure.
Tal has gone for the Bramble Vest, the item that I actually would forget the most. You remember this, but in
the name?
2018,
yeah.
I would forget the name of Bramble Vest every time. But very necessary, given that Ravenous Hydra, you know Noguri will rush. He needs the AoE lifesteal when he's fighting against ghouls and minion waves to be able to actually take trades against Yorick. You never want to build this and then they don't build lifesteal. I'm not actually getting much value out of my 1,000 gold, but outside of Rammus rushing against Urgot, this is definitely the time to take it. It's against the Fiora. So given all of that, that should mean that Yorick should still stay competitive for about the second item phase, and second item onwards when Fiora will get going. Speaking of getting going, level 11.
Oh, there it is, and the chains do land, but he's not going to continue on to that one. Didn't really have too much support, as actually Punch is looking towards the bottom side.
Want to look over the gold again. Of course, your first eye is like, whoa, 40 CS, and you remember it's Frost.
Oh, I checked it out. He's only down about 80 gold. So he's right there, and he's going to be catching up as well.
Exactly. The catch-up part is what people forget, is that you're getting gold from two different sources. It's not just wages, like we're not just salarymen, we're also being able to get our investments going with the quest when you have Frostmancy's bot side.
Oh boy, Songyun in a bit of trouble here, but the stun does go down onto Tahm Kench, and well, at the end of the day, it is Tahm Kench going to deny any kills that you thought could be coming on the map.
Only type of Frostmancy still left is this duo lane Frostmancy that was not changed. The Huff is otherwise live as Barrel's coming in for a double dip.
Devour looks like it was still down as both of them flash in the bottom lane. Big time respect as now Bono up in the top side. They want to put some pressure onto this top turret. Not going to be able to take it out just yet.
But it's a much sicker gank than it first appears. These are the sort of ganks Bono needs to go for, the pressure ganks, to take down a turret, to make it a long lane. Temp's joining him as well. They're not getting the plates, but damned if they're not going to take this turret.
Yeah, I feel like this is a big play that LS would like, where he's like, forget the Clown Drake, we don't need that, we don't care about that, let's take the top turret. Only problem is that a nice little response here from Punt as he immediately goes down to the bottom side to do his own sort of pressure on the map, and DWG Gaming themselves will be able to take out a turret.
That does mean, though, that you guarantee the phase where Victor's going to really start thinking about just wave clearing a mid. And we know, of course, he's god tier at that. He's a mid laner by trade, known for his line wave clear.
Is he the best? Is Anivia better than him? Who's better?
Victor.
Victor's
Victor doesn't
better,
need
probably.
to use his ultimate to do it.
Yeah.
It's relevant level 1 through 5. So I'm a big fan of the Victor there. It's Victor, unnerfed TF. TF's still pretty good. Sivir, of course, as well. Once you have an Essence Reaver or full stacks onto your Mana Flow band, those line wave clear champions are the ones I'm a big fan, because you kill the wave as it walks into the lane. But the fact that they went for this play and gave up the Cloud Jet, like you say, you think it feels like an out trade, but now the map state is what you wanted, where you have Victor mid lane in a short lane wave clearing. There's no risk about that, and you're going to start rotating around the Fiora. The only downside is that Tempt will get increasingly exposed as the game goes on. He's the worst side laner of the 4 solo laners in this game, so we'll wait and see if they can play around that. The way you play around a Syndra getting exposed in long lanes is that you play to your win condition of we need to be aggressive, we need to be assertive, we get outscaled, and we use Syndra for objective control, for picks. That's much less about being in a long lane, it's much more about Baron starts spawning, and if Hanwha Life don't get the Baron, I think DWG Gaming win basically every game.
Well, it's very clear in terms of what DWG have to do in terms of their own win conditions. Just deny that one, and we'll see if it does happen, as this kind of state you were mentioning has come to life, as both Songyun and Nuclear have moved into the mid lane and just begin clearing out these waves and farming up as much as possible.
And let's talk about how DWG are actually not ready for this as much as they should be. We might have to hold the macro point, though, is seeing a 3-man dive bot side.
Yorick has a lot of buddies. They help push this turret. And, you know, just the movement to get over there, and nobody can really push into the mid lane unless they go for a dive, and that's exactly what they want to do. Can they get Songyun? Absolutely, they can. One of the big things of Alistar is that you can get those big dives off real quick, as the Tahm Kench wasn't there to help him out.
And also, LeBlanc pushing on top. They need that punishment, Valdez. Nice sidestep comes through from Nuclear. I wanted to draw the fans' attention to the build here from Nuclear. It's very different to other builds we've seen this week, because there's no effect or no effort put into evolving Q early. It's a recurve bow on top of Blade of the Roman King. We've been seeing Blade into double pickaxe to get the 100 AD, and the reason why I want to call that out is 100 AD allows Kai'Sa to trim waves way faster, because you can just press Q and most of the minions basically die or one hit away from death. Without that evolution, Victor has a huge pushing advantage while you're rotating 3 people into Fiora's lane. So you think tempo-wise, that should mean DWG Gaming gets screwed. However, that doesn't happen because the turret dive is clean, the Tahm Kench is a bit late, and that punishment relieves a lot of pressure before the 100 AD is in for the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, I mean, the second they see that Victor is alone and that Tahm Kench is in the bottom lane, they immediately call that out. It was perfectly played by Beryl, didn't mess up any of his skills, and it's really easy to do that up against Victor, so they do land that one. You were talking about a item for a specific member in the bottom lane.
Yay!
Looks like he's going for the redemption. Papa Smithy able to call that one out here.
So Frostmancy helps him out here. The reason why I call for what is sometimes a pretty unusual item on Tahm Kench, which is the redemption as the first true item after Swifty Boots and the entire support item, is that redemption builds way worse than Knight's Vow. Knight's Vow gives you a Kindle Gem, feels great, and it gives you a Chain Vest, feels great. However, building into the Forbidden Idol as a support like Tahm Kench is not the same as a Sono or a Soraka that's getting a lot of value there. But redemption allows you to play multiple lanes and can also get over some of these tipsy-turvy matchups like the Fiora Yorick and help out the Yorick. For this matchup, we're about an item away from it getting really convincingly on the side of Fiora. That Trinity Force needs to be done. It clearly is not.
Well, he needs items and he needs levels, and he's down on both right now. Just desperately trying to deal with those ghouls and not having much chance at that just yet. Showmaker up 5 levels on the Tahm Kench, not able to land the chains that time around, as DAMWON still trying to push into the mid lane, and they will just go for what looks like another Ocean Drake potentially here. As Bono and Tall on the right side is Showmaker looking for another play, but he is going to get stunned up. Can they burst him? He has to flash away. As that time around, Showmaker going for the big play goes a little bit too far.
Tempt would have really wanted to ult there because it would have forced him
going
out.
In again. There's the Ignite onto Songyun, but Showmaker himself takes a bunch of damage too. Another close trade in the mid lane.
But Tempt actually gets to chunk out Victor because Syndra doesn't ult. If Syndra gets to ult there, he can't re-enter the fight and then Tempt any burst. So because of this might end up being More competitive for DWG Gaming if they want, but they're actually going to show a lot of pause. They know Victor's gone, and yet they still don't invest anything in trying to face check on the Drake. It's an Ocean. They give it up. The Infernal next time, though, that's going to be a fight point, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's the big one. And, yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Songyun ends up TPing towards that fight, actually, just to make sure that he is in position. So what you were saying, it seemed like Hanwha Life was expecting DAMWON to potentially contest if that objective doesn't end up happening. Songyun still did go for the TP, though. Agreed, just one piece away from that Trinity Force. Would love to get that item here.
Around the map, though. The map is not feeling like it's as controlled by Hanwha Life as I would be looking for to justify the draft. And the gold lead is still 2,000 for DWG Gaming, which, given where this game is going, 80 carry versus no 80 carry, Fiora in a side lane, you're really liking DWG, even if they're, say, 2,000 or 3,000 gold down, so it feels like an effective 5+ K lead for DWG Gaming. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to close the game. We already saw in our pre-match stats the DWG Gaming snowball stats aren't that great. They get first bloods and are only 3-3 compared to a lot of teams that are 6-0, 7-0 with a stat like that. So DWG Gaming, they've surely been working on their macro game with Coach Kim Jung-soo from Invictus Gaming. That's the thing that clearly these very talented individual players need to get to the same level as other teams in the LCK on. Only thing remaining is the macro game. For now, they're in a good spot. They've got a gold lead. They're getting their vision down. And we're looking for Hanwha Life to actually find kind of a combo play, maybe an aggressive Abyssal Voyage, and a kill on Noguri would be a nice start.
It looked like they were attempting that, but he ends up just soloing a Rift Scuttler, so not going to be the case just yet, although he is still hanging around that top side, or rather the bottom side. As the Baron is up here, we are about 24 minutes into this game, and he's just threatening it. I mean, he's going to clear out that ward, and he's just going to say my presence might be able to allow some more pushing here, but in the end, he does just back away. So feels like DWG, as you were mentioning, still pretty happy about this one, as attempt a little bit late to stop the push of Showmaker, and he's actually 2 levels down even on the LeBlanc.
The thing that Hanwha Life are playing around is the fact that with Abyssal Voyage, you outnumber Fiora, and she can't do anything 3v1. She doesn't have any ranged wave clear. She can't delay turret takes. They're trying to just rotate and piggyback members through that lane and then say, TP out. He, of course, had someone to teleport for a second there, has Abyssal Voyage. It's about outnumbering the Fiora as the lane goes on. Now, she gets 3 items, and she can do some pretty crazy things. So there is, to some degree, a timer on that, the effectiveness of such a strategy. They're not getting in turrets. They're not actually changing the game state. We got 100 AD on Nuclear now, and even mid lane, the turret is way stronger than you might have assumed, especially given the item build Nuclear went for. So you're worried now, at least I am worried now at 25 minutes, that maybe Hanwha Life have officially missed their window because Trinity Force is in. Good news abound for DWG, and Hanwha Life only a kill on a couple of turrets to their name.
It's not just the scaling of the Fiora and the Kai'Sa, it's your mid laner that's miles ahead. It's almost 2,000 gold ahead right now for Showmaker over Tempt, and 2 levels still, even after Tempt went to the top lane and took out 2 waves. Maybe that's just because he has to play passively against that LeBlanc, who is going to have that assassination ability not just against Tempt, but also against Songyun, especially if the Tahm Kench is out of position. Things definitely feel like they're falling apart a little bit here for Hanwha Life.
And that's before a pop-up, before a huge punch engage. Yeah. 2 control wards, one with an Alistar lying in wait, the other one with a Lee Sin, with everything available. This is not the game state that Hanwha Life are looking for. And now Noguri has that paddock to roam down with 2 items, and he will be showing a lot less respect on the future trades.
Can't wait to see what he can do once he does get more and more items here. Just the 2 that you're mentioning. Bono thinking about helping out here, or at least getting vision down.
He's
2 control
4 levels
there.
down, Valdez.
Yeah.
He's free food for Showmaker.
Okay, Nuguri not strong enough just yet. The ult was popped, but he was not confident enough to go forward with that one.
How did that begin for him to be at half health when we watched? I guess he face-checked a lot of damage.
Maybe he got caught in the cage once again. Maybe doing the Krugs or something. I mean, at this point, we haven't had too much other action. Maybe we can get a replay of that play. Wouldn't mind it myself, but we are definitely going to get some action now as the Infernal is about to spawn.
And the Infernal was that flare point we expected. Noguri gets a back in, but that means the DAMWON are not in a vision advantage like we saw earlier. And Hanwha able to control this area. How much do DWG feel that they need the Infernal? Because they should already have the scaling. Infernal is, of course, the double dip on that. Straight
Here
slow.
comes the TP coming on in. Showmaker looking for that assassination. Couldn't quite get it, but Nuguri in the backside. They're going to try to turn on top of him. Beryl himself taking a bunch of damage, and now Hanwha thinking about just disengaging off of this one as they get away with the Infernal, and nobody goes down just yet. Showmaker thinking about getting in there once again, has the burst damage, but the chain's not going to land in its full effect, and so they do get away.
Noguri's diving in.
Oh boy, Tempt backing on the Lord. That's a bit of a mistake. Too greedy on that one, and now Tall thinking about getting in there, knows he does have the Tom Kench. Should be okay, but that one kill going to be a big one.
I agree with you there, Valdez, and that means that suddenly we have to reevaluate the play. You saw how hard it is for DWG Gaming without a vision lead to actually fight 5v5. They want to poke in or get face checked on when they're chasing for damage. They're a lot less potent, but the exit kill means that Noguri can push onto this inner turret. I feel like I'm trying to recreate how all this happened off screen, but my guess is that Noguri face checked the same brush that Tempt backed in and took a lot of damage. So when Tempt backed, he was like, there can't be a ward here.
Yeah.
The ward being there is actually super
an old
relevant.
ward.
Exactly. It's an old ward, but damned if it's not a important dog of war, because it allows him to just walk in, repost the right ability, and get an almost instant kill on the Syndra.
Definitely a nice chunk of gold as well. Will go straight into his pockets. Only has the one kill, but of course a 750, now 800 gold bounty, as is the way of current League of Legends.
And Noguri has the two disgusting parts of the end of this Spear of Shojin build. The Kindle Gem Longsword 950 gold recipe is such a stinker, but BF Sword on top of that, and you have Spear of Shojin. That means we reposting all the time. Makes basically every side lane matchup the most winning ever for Fiora, and she was pretty good at 2 items already.
Here we go. He's trying his luck already, but he's still down a level. Not just yet, but perhaps thinks he has better sustain overall, but he's getting super low. Nuguri playing with fire. He's not going to be denied this time around, but does have to flash away.
Still not at that item breakpoint, still needs the third one, and that means the Warden's Mail and just Yorick's innate damage is too much for the Fiora to deal with. This going. Better than expected for 30-minute Fiora versus Yorick side lane. Good news story for Hanwha, and they need them desperately. The map is being overrun by DAMWON.
You can just see it here in this left side as Tempt is scared to be under his own turret. And he has Pano on the Olaf, who's still down 5 levels. And Nuclear and Fiora, Noguri just getting stronger and stronger in this game.
Wonder if Noguri needs to go into something like a Execution's Calling, and the matchup is in mid.
They trying to engage on this one, but Punch is just getting chunked out up there on the top side. Now trying to get on top of Songyun, but Good Devour does come in. But look at Nuclear doing that damage. He's going in, but he's going to get popped in the face by that Yorick. They're trying to win this one, but here's Nuguri. Gonna join the fight on time, which means that Hanwha not able to continue.
What a crazy 4v4 that starts with Lee Sin having no interaction against Olaf. He can't kick him away. He can't get out. Dies with his flash available. Didn't really have a spot. Died just a second before he would have claimed it. Ends up being 2 for 2 overall. Both bot lane carries erased means no Baron threat on either side.
That's very true. You can see what happens, though, the attitude of the players right after. Hanwha immediately back away. They don't want any of that.
Bono might be a level under, but there's no interaction at this point. For Lee Sin doesn't have burst rotation, didn't have Q available, just dies. Showmaker pops in. He doesn't instant kill the Songyun, but Songyun does get taken out. But it's a trade of Nuclear's life. He's in the cage amusingly at the end. Both Tempt and Noguri are not there. The 4v4 is a pretty bloody one in what has been otherwise only an 8-kill game.
Well, the spear is finished here for Noguri. We'll have to take a look at these these fights, but at the same time, Tal is just insanely strong.
Thorn Mail is a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Do wonder.
And more on top of that.
You just need to kill the damn maiden, but that, of course, is way harder than it first sounds. It's kind of like the CC Katarina, by the way, lol, analysis that doesn't necessarily work if Cat's broken enough at the time.
Yeah. And you'll notice that it seems like Hanwha
piggybacking.
Yeah, they know that this is the moment where Nuguri is going to try to fight, so Songyun just sits in the bottom lane and says, well, if he goes for it, we can try to 2v1 here.
Well, speaking of outnumbering, means that DAMWON can have more members topside, so they take an inner turret, pop the Banshee Veil on Tempt. 2 Banshee Veils here, both of them very relevant for the pick damage. You notice Atal a lot more reticent to chase for damage now.
He's feeling big, and he is a big boy. He's tied with Nuclear. No, he's close. He's down 10 CS with Nuclear in terms of the CS, but he has so many kills and so much damage.
Here we go. This is the trade.
Trying to get that riposte down, and he does finish off that ultimate. Can he have the damage here? The redemption is not on time as Key. Just a little bit late on that one, not able to save him.
Just looks like you're broken when you have the Spear of Shojin, and all those abilities that you know have real cooldowns don't anymore with 40% CDR.
Yeah.
And the aspect of the Dragon, the old Essence Flare passive on that item, that means that Yorick is down for 40 seconds, time to start a Baron, and Nuclear does plenty of damage, i.e. oh no.
Well, will they try into this one? Fiora's TP is about 10-15 seconds away, but she's just going to push that bottom lane and try to take out a turret. The Baron does get low, but DAMWON Gaming going to begin the dance, the song and the dance that they are totally fine with, as the bottom lane is getting crushed.
And this is the problem is, song and a dance is usually kind of a nice eloquent castaway. I'm talking about a ruse, right? There's no ruse when Fiora will just run at you and do that again. He's already got ultimate up again. If he had a bit more mana, he could just repeat the same play, and Ken's not enough to bail that one out. Feels like it only gets better and better, and he can even start building defensive stats for other issues. He's going for GA and also something like a Spirit Visage for attacking both lane and teamfight. We watch the replay, and remember, the moment the ult is popped, the good news starts rolling for Nugger.
He gets in range finally for the redemption and tries to go for the Devour, but Key just a little bit late on that one. And they were probably calling for that one because Tal was just running straight at the Fiora, you know, but wasn't enough in the end. And Nuggery finally begins to look strong on this Fiora.
Small chance it could be Bloodthirster as well into Spirit Visage for a super high lifesteal build. You used to see this on Fiora in previous metas, I think 2016 QV. Built quite a lot of that on Samsung Galaxy at the time. He walks up to an Ocean Drake, and this is really more about getting Elder to spawn as DAMWON Gaming scaling has come together. So that one comes in, means 39-30 or so. We will be having the Elder spawn. It's more about the buff than it is, of course, about amplifying Cloud and Ocean Drake, and also about forcing Hanwha Life to walk up when DAMWON Gaming have to be ready for a fight.
Yeah. Hanwha Life definitely walking forward now. They're going to just start the Baron. Okay, here we go. Desperate attempt. They just need to get into this one. They want to go for a turn. Here goes Fiora into that bottom lane. How will DAMWON Gaming try to get into this one? There's the engage. Big time knock-up, and it goes the way of Hanwha Life. But where's the damage from the side of DAMWON Gaming? 2 of them are going to be taken down immediately, but take a look at Fiora. They need to get the back. They need to save their base. Can anyone get back is the question.
One back.
Looks like Yorick and Victor are going to be able to get back in time to save that base. Huge importance as DAMWON Gaming not able to stop enough for the backs, and now they're trying to get onto Nuggery here. Can he just burst Key is the question. Able to get the stun down, though, is Tempt. Oh, Nuggery, he's still on the run. He's going to get away. Oh, just barely going to go down to that one, but Songyun is going to pay the price here. We do have Nuclear actually in the top side, trying to push on as this game just goes insane mode now.
Action's
Nuclear
still going.
Going 1v1. Tempt is going to flash away from that one, but Nuclear, once that Hex Drinker does go down, can he get on top of him is the question. He's got that red buff, but it looks like the inhibitor is going to go down first on foremost, as Nuclear will get away.
What an amazing passage of action. We need the ultra zoom out, and we get the last gasps of your lungs there, Valdez, because so much is happening. Because the Yakari Sacks is what DAMWON Gaming have to do. Stop the backs, allow Nuggery to keep pushing into side laning and looking for exit picks and exit objectives, because they were always going to trade down when the Baron is coming. If they lose the Baron here in a 50-50, they win the game instantly to DAMWON Gaming. Without the Baron, they'd probably still win out on the trade. It was still the right moment for Hanwha Life. They'd lost map control, as we noted. They can't really set up the fights anymore because of the scaling advantage, so you have to try things like this. They get the second back. One in the pit, that's the Victor. The other one, the Yorick, in the pixel brush there. We watch the replay here. Nuggery probably could have considered a 1v2, but he knows that Tahm Kench is walking down as well, and he can't 1v3. On the exit, I'm never going to write the eulogy for a Spear of Shojin Fiora until we know for sure, until we get the kill feed information there. An Overwatch League level of analysis, because you're never 100% sure on that Fiora. Nuclear continues to push it, and this is the right move. He gets an exit kill earlier, and he can swoop in, take out Tempt thanks to his extra shield, and eventually does that take out this inhibitor as well. Doesn't take him out of the Rift, but does take him out of defending the objective.
Gets him out of the fight, and now we did have Hanwha Life go in, but did they get themselves into a bad fight as Nuggery looking for the flank?
How many bad guys can he walk up to?
Well, you can see that Hanwha Life trying to play that Phalanx style. They get the stun there, but in goes Nuggery into that back line alongside Nuclear. And the engage comes in, and it looks like Hanwha Life is just falling apart as DWG Gaming running straight at them. It looks like Tall, the only one left available, not going to be able to go 1v5 this time around. As all the knockups in the world come around, they do get flanked. It looks like game one will go the way of DWG Gaming.
And that scaling was no dirty word here. This is the scaling dirty secret that Fiora on this patch is. Rushes in, they finish the game. DWG Gaming did enough, and Hanwha Life, they just couldn't get it going in the early game enough for this late game to be anything but Fiora carry.
And there it was.